want to tune into Witness Radio? Go to Play Store on your phone, type Witness Radio. You will see the application, download it and start listening to Witness Radio. You can also visit our website on www.witnessradio.org. Click live on your PC's right hand, then click the button in the middle. Then listen to Witness Radio and learn all issues about land and environmental protection.
Witness Radio.
Witness Radio.
Witness Radio.
Witness Radio.
In a world racing toward clean energy, who's left behind? Welcome to Eyes on a Just Energy Transition, the program that highlights on Africa's journey toward a fair and inclusive energy future.
Hello, our dear listener. Welcome to Witness Radio, your trusted voice. You are listening to Eyes on a Just Energy Transition, where we take you on an informative journey of energy transition across Africa. This is the Witness Radio series program, the media in the renewable energy. In this series, we are using the power of media to shine a light on Uganda's journey towards clean, sustainable energy. And to listen to us, please visit our website www.witnessradio.org or visit Google Play Store and download the Witness Radio app. And in case you'd like to reach us out, please chat with us on our WhatsApp +256 745 965 765 or through calling us directly on +256 414 697 221, and we'll hear from you or on all our social media platforms. Now, just to remind you that Uganda is one of the countries in Africa that is on the renewable energy transition journey from fossil fuels and the use of firewood. The transition promises to deliver vast socio-economic benefits to African countries, improving energy access, creating jobs, and boosting energy security. And so these countries have to make a great shift from fossil fuels technologies to a more sustainable, climate-friendly power strategy that is aligned with the Paris Agreement and low carbon growth. The agreement calls on the countries to pursue low carbon development pathways and also encourages investment in renewable energy, energy efficiency, and sustainable technologies as part of national climate action plans to achieve the overarching goal of limiting global warming. And in this program, we bring you different renewable energy experts, partners, beneficiaries, and individuals to enlighten us as they share with us their experiences about the transition journey of the renewable or clean energy. And so in today's episode, we look at bamboo farming as a renewable energy and not just a business in the energy transition journey of Uganda. We want to look at how bamboo production and use contributes to climate change mitigation and providing environmental conservation by reversing hundreds or thousands of acres of deforestation in the country. And as you may know, bamboo is much known as a delicacy source, the Malewa bamboo shoots in Uganda, especially around Mount Elgon, and little has been done with the whole crop. But of recent, it has been realized as a wonder crop that can be harvested for a long time and can be used in construction. And as Uganda transits to renewable or clean energy, the major goal here is to conserve the environment for a lasting future. We speak to Jacques de Blois, the chairman Bambo Uganda and an agronomist by profession. He tells us about the wonders of bamboo farming, saying the crop fetches millions of shillings, but also plays a great role in deforestation to reserve nature. But before we hear from Jacques de Blois, let's first go for a short commercial break, and when we return, we proceed from here.
Eyes on a Just Energy Transition, a program that unpacks Africa's shift toward cleaner, fairer, and more sustainable energy. Join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. East African Standard Time as we spotlight communities, policies, and voices shaping the continent's energy future. Stay informed, stay empowered. Keep your eyes on a just energy transition. Right here on Witness Radio.
Witness Radio.
Witness Radio.
Witness Radio.
Witness Radio.
You're listening to Eyes on a Just Energy Transition.
Welcome back from that break, and thanks for tuning in to Witness Radio. Now, just as I briefed you before, today we are talking about bamboo crop. We want to hear from an expert and agronomist, Jacques de Blois, how the crop contributes to the current energy transition. He starts by explaining about the crop and then the need for a bamboo policy.
You all know coffee, and you all know how important the coffee industry has been and still is today for so many households. Probably all of you have been to uni. Guess what? Your mom and dad earned the money. Guess what? The ministry at that time had UCDA, and unfortunately UCDA is now kind of merged with MAIF, so things are currently a little bit less transparent. But UCDA was rocking it. It was coordinating the coffee industry, the different players in the coffee industry, whether you were an exporter, whether you were a local trader, whether you were a coffee farmer, a research institute. So if you want to make a sector big and meaningful for a country, you need to have an organization which is, at least with the best they can, try to coordinate the industry. How much bamboo stock do we have? Which varieties are here? Which factories are here? What is already talking? Hey, what is actually happening in Indonesia? So if nobody is playing the UCDA, we want to become, call it the UCDA of the bamboo industry. And what is the potential? Because I've been in the coffee industry very deep, and I still play a role in the EUDR think tank and whatever. So I have my feeding ground in the coffee industry. And there's so many learnings we can take. And now the good thing is, coffee is concerning almost 3 million farmers, 11,000 traders, many exports. So it's super political and complex. All the learnings we have from the coffee today, to implement them in our tiny baby but yet super potential bamboo industry, we're going to do everything 5 times faster. So to make every farmer bankable, to make every farm plot polygon mapped and have that in a kind of data warehouse, to have trade information on what is happening, we now need to take our coffee learnings and take a leap into digitalizing that bamboo industry and give us, so of course 90% of the bamboo might be produced in Asia, but maybe 70 or 80% of the bamboo is being consumed in the US and the Western world, call it Europe. Don't pin me down on these figures, but it's something in that direction, right? If we want to compete against the Chinese, guess what? On scale and price we won't. But if we do this good as a Ugandan industry, we say our industry is going to make sure everyone is certified. We make sure everything is kind of eligible to certain import restrictions for Europe, whether it's a deforestation regulation or a social corporate responsibility. So we have a great opportunity to do things correct, where actually now people who consume bamboo say, there is so much conflict going on in the world. We're now getting 90% of our produce or 99% of our produce from China. But what if this trade war and sanctions and import duties and whatever, Trump and whatever they're all doing, if this would seriously mess up our business, we're in trouble. We've built this business for 50 to 100 years. We're doing like 100 or $200 million turnover, and that all no, we need to de-risk. We're going to order 10% of our volumes or 20% of our volumes from Uganda, knowing it's slightly more expensive because Uganda is not operating at scale. We're completely landlocked. But if we do a good job in traceability and compliance as an industry, it's still a baby industry, so it's easier, we have great opportunity to make bamboo the next big crop, or at least to make it in the top 3 of the Ugandan export revenue crops, right? And we should. Now I have here the bamboo strategy, which was a bit of a government document done by very good consultants, but not bottom up, not by talking from people to the front. So the next step is now to make that strategy a bit more practical and a bit more modified and a bit more Ugandan. And then the other step is actually to move away from just having a strategy, but to go to policy. Because guess what? There's a lot of demand for bamboo construction, but if there is no bamboo code, which is a policy measurement that says we as a Ugandan government, we allow that people can construct with bamboo, not only decorate with bamboo, but construct. So when a policy will not fall into place, these guys have miss out on a big market. Or for example, myself, I'm a large-scale farmer. We're developing 3,500 acre of farm. It's completely bamboo agroforestry farming. And I see big potential in the charcoal market. The charcoal market is a very polluting and destructing market. It's a market value of maybe $800 million a year only for Kampala. Guess what? Why can we not work very hard and win 10% of this market? We have a business of $80 million, but then it's not about the money. It's about like every acre of bamboo where you grow wood that you can harvest every year again for almost 100 years in a row. That 1 acre is gonna avoid maybe 200 acres of deforestation of real nature reserve. Again, I'm not a fan of big monocrop bamboo plantations. So luckily with bamboo plantations you can intercrop with native trees, you can intercrop, all depending on the spacing. But yeah, another policy point, if they allow us to certify bamboo charcoal plantations, then we can get a trade license to compete or to work together with the existing market. We will reverse deforestation, or we stop and we'd slow down deforestation. We would go to an industry of maybe 500,000 hectares, creating green jobs that are smart jobs. We can digitalize them a bit, we can make them attractive because we can do a bit of bamboo agroforestry. So again, those things need a policy. Same for exporting, and that makes bamboo super complex because, like I said, if you trade in bamboo, first of all, I'm going to be a bamboo grower. Am I talking to NFA? I guess. Then suddenly I'm making bamboo charcoal out of it, and suddenly maybe I'm with the Ministry of Energy. And then suddenly I'm creating a lot of jobs, I have a processing company, and then I'm suddenly in the Ministry of Works. And then there will be another Ministry of Environment thinking something of my business. So bamboo is all over the place. It has a lot of potential, but it needs a lot of coordination. So it needs a proper strategy, followed up by policy that is actually enhancing and protecting and enabling those different lines of bamboo businesses.
You're listening to Eyes on a Just Energy Transition.
But we would like to understand what stage the bamboo policy formulation is now and what it means for the farmers and the country as a whole.
So luckily we have Enable, the Belgium Development Agency, and they see the potential luckily of our bamboo, and they decided to sponsor us as Bamboo Uganda to organize those meetings. So we had a first kind of follow-up meeting. So there's the bamboo strategy, and now we need a bamboo policy. So my colleague Robert Samukala, who is the general manager of Bamboo Uganda, myself, I'm the chairman, he managed to get 8 different ministries that day in one room. Yep. Plus the biggest pioneers in the bamboo industry, the biggest bamboo farmers, the biggest bamboo producers, processors, and we had our first conversations like, hey guys, what do we think of the strategy? And how do we need to organize ourselves as private sector players, hand in hand with some government agencies and maybe 1 or 2 donors, to develop proper legal frameworks for our industry to thrive. So yeah, we had a kickoff meeting. So yeah, I think and policy making, you know, it's a process of decades, but it can go in steps. And if we celebrate step 1, which is maybe XYZ, we've made an important step. And then if the other year we make step 2, it's fine. I mean, Rome was also not built in 1 year. So let's not stress it out, but it's important that we have those different ministries on the table. And I think for now the biggest lack is information. There is so much done with bamboo in the world, but there is so few knowledge and exposure to the Ugandan society, the Ugandan business society. So there's a lot of work to do, and I think that's kind of the job that Bamboo Uganda wants to take on. Like, again, a mini UCDA. Yeah. They started, there's coffee growing, we can support you on quality, we can support you on agronomy, so we need to become that mini UCDA, and now we're improvising with the passionate people we have. So I'm a chairman, but I've never been trained to be a chairman, but we need someone that takes the lead and tries. So I'm pretty sure our organization over the years will have a full-time policy making expert, we'll have a full-time finance expert, we'll have a full-time donor coordination partnership, but for now we're very small and we need to just use the little means we have and project the bright future Bambo would have if we hit it hard and serious. One of our members is exporting bamboo in form of chips, and those chips are being then used to make materials to eventually make airplane wings and blades of windmills. So it's the composite industry. This is a small pilot, it's a small baby, but it can grow to like 10 containers a day. Competing with the coffee industry. So let's say if today we're talking about $500,000 export revenue, $250,000 local domestic market, it is very realistic to pump it up to $500 million export revenue and $500 million domestic within 5 to 10 years. Because pine and eucalyptus is getting more and more problematic, environment related, monocrop related, market related. So we see a lot of bigger pine and eucalyptus growers that are actually considering like, hey, I used my NSSF for my 1 square mile of pine and I'm aging. I got my NSSF when I was 60. I'm now almost 80 and by the age of 82 I'm gonna harvest. If I'm planting another round I'm gonna be dead. So they're all like, hey, what if we would plant bamboo 2 or 3 years before we actually harvest our pine and eucalyptus? And after we harvest the pine and eucalyptus, instantly we're almost in production. And then rather than investing and waiting for 20 years, we just instantly every year only harvest the mature plants. So it's very important that bigger agencies like FAO, who at the time helped together with the European Union to develop the pine and eucalyptus industry, say, hey, let's create a market now also for this bamboo. We can make plywood from it, we can do scaffolding from it, we can do flooring from it, but let's start investing now because the hose of produce is coming. Yeah. Because all the older wealthy people are not going to do another round of eucalyptus and they are not going to do another round of pine. Of course, now I'm over-exaggerating, but a lot of people have this mindset like, wow, am I going to take the risk to again plant pine? And then hear 22 years later that there is an export restriction on wood. Hey! So we need to convey our message very well. And then, unfortunately, there's always the debate chicken and egg. If there is a lot of bamboo on ground, bigger investors will come. So it's like, what are we going to do first? And if there is no bigger factories on ground, the farmers are not going to get convinced. So it's a bit of a chicken and egg, and we need to play that game very, very well. You see, like bamboo is in West Africa, they have now big companies making toilet paper, distributing it to the rest of the world. Who says they cannot come here? We have a friendly environment, business-wise, to operate is very doable. We have a lot of available land. We have affordable labor. So in China, the average plantation is between 5 and 15,000 hectares. And that's nice, but in China they're now saying, oof, our labor expenses, they shoot up with 10, 15, 20% per year. Available pieces of land are becoming scarce. Climate is not suitable everywhere yet. Think of the areas of Gulu. There's many people with square miles that sit on that land. They own it. They don't even have the capacity to farm 1 acre themselves, but they own that land. Now, there's a lot of opportunities for jobs, regreening, restoring nature. And again, like every industry can be polluting. Every industry can be done as green as possible. So automatically we're in the green industry, but bamboo processes can also be chemical. Right? But we need to say, no, we're only going to work with the people who know how to extract bamboo fibers in an organic or non-chemical related way. Or big plantations of bamboo monocrops are absolutely not sexy and fancy for flora and fauna, right? So we might need to come up with regulations, say like, hey, every 1 on 10 trees must be a native tree, or hey, let's do different spacing patterns where actually you allow farmers to still grow crops in between. The other potential, take for example, Karamoja. In Karamoja, the climate is simply too harsh to grow tomatoes, cabbages, onions, whatever, right? With bamboo, there would be a potential to say, I plant my bamboo rows, rather than planting them 5 by 5, 6 by 6, I'm planting them every 6 meters in a row, but maybe 20 meters within the row. And guess what? The moment you're then in production, you're creating a kind of climate greenhouse, a natural greenhouse, where the water table will come up, a lot of leaf litter will form like more carbon in the soil. You lower the temperature on average by 6, 7, 8 degrees, and guess what? 5 years later you can perfectly grow cabbages and onion in that climate again. You can! So bamboo can be a threat, bamboo can be an absolute game changer in terms of impact, positive impact, and it's just the way we use our knowledge, our skills, our policies to make sure we make it happen. I remember living in Ethiopia, and the clothing industry, people who make clothes for fast fashion, which was always happening in Bangladesh. At that time, Ethiopia had a choice: or we're becoming the second Bangladesh, we go cheap and big, or we're just going to be the most sustainable clothing factory production nation in the world. And I think we're sitting with good people on the board. We have a very solid advisory board, and I think we have all measures in place to whatever we want to do at scale, that we do it in a sustainable manner. And I think also Bamboo Uganda was born from impact, because if all of us wanted to make money, we would be maybe doing other things, but not farming. This is more a passion and generating impact, and of course everyone wants to feed their family, everyone wants to recuperate their investments, but the people who just only go for the money, they are maybe at Wall Street, or they do bitcoins, but then you're not in bamboo. So it's I think it's a combination of thinking impact, thinking commercial, but being super sustainable. And I think we have the foundation laying to build a healthy, call it green economy or a restoration economy, which bamboo deserves and which bamboo can provide.
And now, before we proceed, let's first go for another short break, and when we return, we'll continue with the program.
Witness Radio.
Witness Radio.
Witness Radio.
Witness Radio.
Breaking the silence and elevating community voices. Witness Radio, your number one choice.
You're listening to Eyes on a Just Energy Transition.
Welcome back from that break. You are listening to Eyes on a Just Energy Transition at Witness Radio, where we take you on an informative journey, and at the moment, focusing on Uganda's renewable energy transition plan. And now, as we proceed with the program, we'll hear from Jacques de Blois talking about bamboo as a lucrative business. And now, bamboo farming in Uganda is believed to be highly profitable and a sustainable agricultural venture that can provide income, employment, and environmental benefits. It's a versatile perennial grass that grows rapidly and thrives in various soil types and weather conditions, making it highly adaptable to Uganda's diverse agricultural landscape. Blois explains further.
So when you think of carbon sequestration, I mean, it can be done in many different ways. You can take your bamboo leftovers and you make biochar from it, and the biochar you put in the ground, and for the coming 1,000 years that carbon is locked, and hopefully it also enhances a bit the soil structure and the agronomy related stuff around your plant, right? So that is one way of sequestration. When you look at sequestration at a farm, and you would now take a completely degraded piece of land where there is no biomass, bamboo will grow in sand. You see bamboo growing in Kilifi, Kenya, where it's like super sandy, super hot, hardly any rains. So myself, I'm farming in Pakwach, which is also quite harsh, quite degraded. We're luckily next to the river now. But so what you see, the above wood mass being created with bamboo is significantly high because it grows very, very fast. So yeah, eucalyptus is growing fast and pine is growing less fast, but the amount of kilos of wood you can produce on an acre is very good. But what is even better is the soil. So bamboo will really regenerate the soil, will drop a lot of leaf litter, and even if you now start in a sandy soil in year 6, 7, 8, that soil will be black and will store a lot of carbon. So funny, if you look at farm level, probably 80% of the carbon is actually stored in the soil. The rest is in the poles. However, if you put the poles in fire, floop, carbon goes back into the atmosphere. But if you say, no, my bamboo poles being chopped into pieces and they end up in an airplane wing of Boeing, and an airplane less than ever at 60 years, then you somehow sequester it for a good amount of years. So therefore also in the carbon sequestration world you have different fees for different carbon credits. Biochar is super reliable, so maybe a carbon credit for biochar is now $130. Planting a shade tree, which is very debatable how long they last and if nobody cuts it down for firewood, it's only $30. A cook stove is maybe only $6 because who says that cook stove is not being destroyed tomorrow by a cow sitting on it or the neighbor stealing it, right? So to talk about carbon sequestration and the carbon opportunities of bamboo, yes, they're absolutely there in many different forms. So there is many different ways that lead to Rome. When you also see the sequestration per acre compared to many other trees, we're 5-6 times higher. So we sequester a lot. But then also if you harvest a lot and you put that back into bamboo biochar, then again, you know, carbon credit wise, you're not doing a good job. I'm not saying that bamboo biochar is bad, because if bamboo biochar can create 10,000s of jobs, regreen or restore messed up soils, and at the same time stop or put on a hold reforestation, yeah, carbon credit wise it's not cool, but impact wise and what the country needs, it's an absolute yes. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can measure and see and calculate and verify and claim sustainability in the bamboo world.
Blaise also talks about the green economy, which he advises smallholder farmers to plant the bamboo on the boundaries if they are to harvest big and still have space inside their lands to plant other crops.
So I'm an agronomist, right? And I've always been making agroforestry models or commercial models for smallholder farmers, specifically in coffee. Luckily, I was blessed with a very nice boss at YouGaCoff who had a very open-minded vision and said, hey Jacques, we need to help those farmers, not with only coffee, because the cash flow with coffee is very stringent, right? 80% in the big season, 20% in the small, and in between a farmer is grasping for air, grasping for money. Yeah, so I've always been growing crops in between coffee to make sure they're cash flow, because maybe you plant elephant grass, maybe caliandra, maybe a metoka, just to improve the cash flow and the total income per acre. So when we talk about the green economy in the lens of smallholder farmers, if you only sit on 1 acre or 2 acres or 5 acres, my advice is do not plant bamboo. If you sit on 4 or 5 acres and you're every day, choose another crop. Go for onions, where maybe the income per acre can go up to 20 million, or go for cabbages, or go for tomatoes, which are super high risk, super intensive, but if you do well, you make a lot of money. If you and your family sit on 100 acres, 50 acres, 20 acres, somewhere far, and you want to be a telephone farmer, because you have a busy job in town and you can only visit 3 times per year, like what most people have in pine and eucalyptus, then you plant, you install your 50 acres, you go and visit it 4 times a year, you put an affordable, simple manager there, because when you do bamboo as a monocrop, which I still don't really like and support, the work is very little. You basically touch after, it takes 3 years for the canopy to close. From year 3 onwards, you basically need to touch that bamboo plant once or twice a year. So when you harvest is when you balance the shoots. All the shoots too many you remove, you heap a bit, you add your fertilizer, and you're gone for another whole year. Year 1, 2 and 3 are a bit more stringent because the plant is a baby. A cow could come and eat it, a goat could step on it, a worker could whatever plant his beans or tomatoes right next to it. So year 1 and 2 Year 1 to 3 needs a bit more attention. So when you are a smallholder, what I would advise is to only put the boundaries with bamboo. So when we're looking at an acre and you would plant normally 8 by 8, then you end up with roughly 63 trees in an acre. But then your whole acre is gone. You cannot plant anything inside. So my advice, plant bamboo at the outside boundaries of the acre. Not every 8 meters, but every 4, because light comes in left, right, and center, so every 4 meters. So instead of 63 in an acre and your whole acre is gone, plant 60 at the outside boundaries of your acre. 60 meter by 60 meter by 60 meter by 60 meter is 240 meters. Every 4 meters, it means you have 60 at the boundary. What will then happen? Guess what? You have a super nice boundary. So there's never a dispute like, hey, this is my land, whatever. You don't work with a crop that is very overhanging. A mango tree goes 10 meters into the land of your neighbor, and there's always a fight who owns the mango, right? Guess what? That bamboo boundary of 60 plants, each plant would produce 10 matured palms every year. So you're sitting on 600 palms. Let's say you sell them for 10,000 shillings. Guess what? You're making... So let's say we have those 60 trees at the boundaries times 10 palms per tree, is 600 palms times, for example, 10,000 shilling for a heavy palm, is 6 million. Guys, 6 million from your boundary. You can invest all that money, so that's 6 million sales, maybe the profit is 3 or 4 million. You can use all that money to finance the labor, the fertilizer, the mulch, and the coffee seedlings that grow inside that acre or whatever crop. So I highly advise to go for bamboo purely as a boundary crop. It makes your farm to be managed easier. If you have 10 acres, then you have 10 blocks, and you say you are responsible for the coffee in block 1, you are responsible for the coffee in block 2, and every block needs 1 bag of fertilizer, every round of weeding per block needs this much money. So it helps you with block farming, yet you're making money, yet you have the litter, you have the water table coming off, you have a bit of shade. So in Pakwach, where I'm farming, it's going to be 3,500 blocks of 1 acre, where every worker will get 5 to 10 blocks, and that's their responsibility. I'm not going to pay them a salary, maybe a very low base salary, but they're going to get a commission. Because I want my yields to be skyrocket high, because that's how you make money, not trying to be greedy towards paying your people. Then guess what? If people would get a commission of 30 or 40% from an acre, and I make 20 million on an acre, he's gonna make 4 or 5 million a year. And I'm not fooling it in my pocket, because I have high yields. And if you would pay him an alternative of 300k per month, he has no incentive to work hard for you. He's gonna be disappointed because he's not earning a lot. So block farming gives you the opportunity to over time give commission-based partnerships to people in your village, and together you make money. So bamboo smallholder farmers, boundaries only. That's my advice.
He encourages the farmers to do block farming and earn high profits. Bamboo, however, has 1,600 different varieties with a big market for each type. He says once a farmer begins and gets into the production, they will harvest the bamboo every year for over 100 years.
And we have, let's say, 10 bigger, completely different markets. Bamboo for the paper industry, bamboo for the call it bioenergy or the heat industry, bamboo for the construction industry. So if you take a giant bamboo which you use for construction with a diameter as thick as your waist or your thigh, it takes up to 8-9 years before you harvest. The moment you're in production, you harvest every year for roughly 100 year plus. If you go for other varieties, maybe Vulgaris green or a variety that is more used to produce bamboo charcoal, you could already be in production in year 3 to 4. So it depends a bit on the variety, but on average, let's say 5 to 6 years, you're going to be in production harvesting. As well, nobody learns how to speak Spanish in one day, so getting into production also goes the first year you harvest maybe 2 palms, the second year you're at 40%, the third year you're at 50%, the sixth year, so you're gonna be at 100% harvest potential in year 8, 9, something like that. But compare this to pine, it's still like 10 years better, right? And you have that constant cash flow. So the moment you would have your 10 boundary crops and every boundary would make you 5 M per acre per year, then you make 25 M by just having your piece of land where you visit once every. So it's an easy. So if you plant today 10 by 10 meters, even in 100 years from now, if you maintain it well, you can still take your tractor and drive in between. If you plant running bamboo, it goes all over the place and people hate it, right? A lot of people are afraid of bamboo, and they should be if it's a running bamboo. We like to go industrial and commercial, so we focus for now to our clumping bamboo because we don't want to give that burden to anyone. And then there's 2 other ways you can see it. You have social bamboos and non-social bamboo. So a social bamboo like an asper, in the dry season, it would literally hold still water in its paws and it would share it to the other crops around it in the ecosystem. And I think like this you can grow crops hand in hand. You can do intercropping in synergy. Well, if you put pine and eucalyptus, they mostly deplete the water table. It will sink, and it will acidify the soil. So where bamboo is a threat to other crops is its shade. If you plant it too much, too dense. At the moment you keep enough shade, you can grow everything hand in hand, going with the bamboo as long as the light that you allow and the spacing is big enough.
Breaking the silence and elevating community voices.
Witness Radio, thank you so much. You have become our voices. Nobody would know what is taking place because for a long time we had not known what was going on in Chiriandongo, what had taken place in Mubende, because the grabbers operate at night when people are asleep. But you have done a lot.
Witness Radio.
Witness Radio.
Witness Radio.
Witness Radio.
The world is moving toward renewable energy, but will it be just for everyone? Tune in to Eyes on a Just Energy Transition every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. East African Standard Time, where we explore how Africa can embrace clean energy without leaving communities behind. Because justice must fuel the transition. The energy future is here, but who benefits?
You're listening to Eyes on a Just Energy Transition.
And as we wrap up today's episode, you should be aware that Uganda's transition journey to renewable energy, especially clean cooking, is ongoing. And it requires you to embrace the effort to transform your day-to-day life. And before we end the program, please, if you want to listen to us, visit our website www.witnessradio.org or visit Google Play Store and download the Witness Radio app. And in case you'd like to reach out to us, please chat with us on our WhatsApp +256 745 965 765 or through calling us directly on +256 414 697 221, and we will hear from you or on all our social media platforms. Thank you for keeping it locked on Witness Radio. Stay tuned, stay informed, and stay inspired to be part of the energy revolution. Please do not forget that Eyes on a Just Energy Transition airs on Witness Radio every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 10 a.m. African Standard Time. Catch us again, same time, same radio station. I am Will Stephen, your host.
That was Eyes on a Just Energy Transition, amplifying community voices.